Yeah, we have today an exciting topic. As you saw, the title is also very attractive, and it's something also that I thought about a long time, also like 15 years ago. Why do bad things happen to good people? There was even a book written, very similar title. I just found out after I published this topic. It's very similar. But yeah, we were speaking about, just for you who joined recently, the question about if we are planning goals in this life, career-wise, or we are planning what to do and what to achieve in this life. Is it necessary that we think about our future lives? What is happening actually after this? What is the purpose? So we were discussing a little bit about that. And Julian mentioned reincarnation, and Brian also before that. So is something happening actually after this life? And why is it important? So there are some suggestions that, like some opinions that we don't need to bother with that, or that it's also very important. It influences our actual paradigm, how we see this world. So when we are speaking about reincarnation and we are speaking about some future lives, it's like a concept which I think everybody heard about, but how much we know about it, it's a different thing. And if it's something like that is existing, why then everybody doesn't believe in it, and why it's not taught in school or some mainstreams societies, Okay, welcome, Bitimi. And is there any actually evidences about it? Is there actually any evidence about something happening after this life? You mentioned near-death experiences, and you mentioned also these testimonies from some people. And there is from young children who remember their past lives. And there is also one other common source, and this is regressotherapy. You heard about it. It can be done by a person who does it, psychologists usually, who go and by guided questions and meditation, they come and go into subconsciousness, and then you are able to remember some of the past lives. This is how they recollect that. Interesting. I read a lot of things about it, and usually I say that I don't believe in this because you know why? Because I have so many evidences that it's not more a matter of belief. It's actually that I know that these things is working because there is so many evidences about it. Actually, I have one book here that it's really interesting. It's called Demystifying Reincarnation. It's really amazing. It goes on hundreds of examples and just takes the most interesting ones. And then they go through analysis, and this is also going through one scientist who is going through the analysis and trying to see, can it be a fraud? Can it be exaggeration? Can it be, whatever, guesswork or exaggeration? Knowledge from some normal source that they heard about something like that from some other sources, because there is a lot of fraud also in that area, because it's how to say, you cannot touch it. It can be subjective, but they were going really detail inside of it. And when you are speaking about this third that I mentioned, regressotherapy, when those psychologists were going in the past lives of people, the most, the strongest evidences were when people started to speak languages that they didn't know, like forgotten languages. This is called xenoglossy. When people start to speak forgotten languages, like millenniums, forgotten, that only very expert people could figure out, few of them only in the world, for such a knowledge. There is a few examples of that, especially in this book, they mention it. And when that psychologist was going into regressive therapy, he recorded that person and he said to that person, please write down how do you say these different words. How do you write them down? And person wrote, and in a few cases, with in a way that that person, when he woke up, he didn't know what is that. He thought that it, and also the psychologist didn't know. He thought that it was just like some, like stupid drawing or whatever. But then he gave it to the experts, like few experts who know that language, because he said that he was from that and that part or whatever, to investigate, and they saw that it's like forgotten language, that it was not able, that it's impossible actually that person could write so nicely and that he could figure out some things that psychologist was asking him to do. There is also this spontaneous recollection of past lives, especially in young children, that, like children are usually until from 1 to 6 when they're usually speaking about that because they're remembering those lives. And there is like thousands of cases that were really investigated by different scientists who were like doing this investigation. And there was one, actually I forgot his name, but I will send you, actually that's a good opportunity that I send you this link for a Google form. If you still haven't signed for and left your contact, please do. I will send you actually a link to this book and that you can find amazing examples. And he went through thousands of cases and he really studied them. And he went like with the young children who were recollecting their lives. There was one little girl who was recollecting her past life and her daughter Minu and her husband, and she was saying where they were living, and the parents were thinking, like little child, she's just imagining things. But then she forced them after she was a little older that they go, and she was showing them where to go, how to come to that house, and she drove them to the house, and she went in front of the house, and she could not figure out, because she knew that the entrance was to that part of the house and she could not enter. So then they figure out around the house how to enter, and then they met the people who were living there, and she immediately came to a little older person and she said, "Oh, my husband, how are you?" and approached her daughter Minu, who was like already a girl, and she like showed all knowledge about the past life and the interactions, even some hidden, some very private and secret relationships between them that nobody else knew. And then they asked why did she didn't know the entrance to the house, and then they said after that girl died, that woman, they changed the entrance to the house. It was there where she was coming. And then she came in the bedroom, and then she took her favorite clothes and she said, this is my favorite. I was missing this cloth and I was doing this. And it's amazing. Like it's very, very specific information that you cannot know by default, or just even by reading or by hearing about somebody. And that girl didn't heard about them because it's like dislocated location, not famous and whatever. There were also some, like when they were investigating these cases, there were also some cases that, some person recollected that she was like a princess on some court of a famous person and this and that. And she was even explaining, like the court, how it looked like, different paraphernalia, whatever, different stuff on the court and in her bedroom. And then later on, when they were investigating, they saw that she read a novel which was explaining that character, historical character, and the background, and she forgot about it. It was not a fraud, but she forgot about it. And actually, that was in a regressive therapy. When they were going into regressive therapy, that popped out, and she thought that it was her past life, but it was done immaturely. but then they figure out it was actually fraud, that she just remembered something that she read before. But in other cases, so I'm not saying that everything that everybody mentions, that everybody says that it's true. We really need to investigate it, especially because it can be really subjective. But if you look at it from the objective point of view, you know, like there was other cases, you know, like also when a child was going and driving persons. There are like thousands of cases. I will not now go and take a lot of time, but it's really amazing. Really amazing. So we spoke about regressive therapy, spontaneous remembrance of past lives. And there is also this near-death experiences that you mentioned also. And the point with near-death experiences, it can be, you can look at, it's very subjective when person is saying such things, but there is like many examples that are really extreme. One of those, few of those extreme examples is that the person who was blind from the birth, so her optic nerve of that person was totally destroyed. So it's not possible that somehow she could see. When she had near-death experience, she went out of her body and she could see what's happening in the room. She could explain specific details which you cannot explain without seeing them, and nobody spoke. You cannot speak, you know, like doctors are not speaking about such things. She could identify colors, even if she never saw that. She could compare, you know, like this was in that color, that was that color, you know, like similar color, because she didn't know what are the colors. She never thought about it. So it's like amazing experience, maybe amazing evidences. And there is like thousands of such evidences. It's really amazing. So when I'm speaking about this, I'm just speaking, you know, like and sharing some impressions that actually I don't believe in that thing. I know that it exists because, you know, like when you look at it from a different perspectives, it's so clear. But actually, I will read you something from this book, which I really, I really liked it. Just a moment that I find it. Well, wait. It's really interesting. Actually, anyway. What do you think about this, what I mentioned? About these examples that I shared with you? Here I found the quote. Man will occasionally stumble over the truth, but he usually manages to pick up himself, walk over or around it, and carry on. It's not that these things are not available, but, you know, like if we don't want to believe in some things, and if we are not interested in those things, and if we want to, you know, like usually it can, we can just neglect it. And I have a lot of experiences with that because I'm a vegetarian actually for like last more than 15 years. And I was sharing my experiences maybe with some my close friends or family about objective reasons, you know, like why I became vegetarian. And such reasons, you know, like the animals are screaming, suffering, that they have emotions, that it's the same, the flesh of the human and of the animal is the same. It's the same substance, everything. And people don't get it. And they were like, in that moment, they were like, oh, really? Terrified. They were, oh. But they didn't want to take it up. And then tomorrow they just forgot about it and just carried on like nothing is happening because they didn't want to you know, like to do that. So I stopped talking about things to people who are not interested, who are not asking me about certain things, because, you know, like it's just a waste of time. You know, if somebody doesn't want to understand something, it's just a waste of time. Yeah, but then also like historically, there is like in a lot of cultures, you know, like there is examples of people really like not just believed, but they were like convinced that reincarnation is part of life, and they have a lot of examples. And also philosophically, it's the only actually explanation how you can explain, you know, like how this world is functioning. like specifically, if we are speaking about that God exists, that there is some intelligent cause of creation, that we are not just this body, which there is also a lot of proofs and a lot of examples. And then, like, a common question comes to the mind. All the spiritual traditions and all the religions are speaking, like that God is all good and all powerful, isn't it? That's usually, like explanation of the God in different religious and spiritual traditions. And how would you connect those two if bad things are happening to good people? Why would that happen if he is all good and all powerful? Let's go extreme. Let's go and see children who are suffering in very austere conditionings in their life. Like they don't have anything to eat. Maybe they are bullied by the narco bosses or tortured and put it on the streets to beg. And they're surrounded, like with very bad associations. So they got some of those habits in their life. And maybe they died because somebody raped them or just killed them. What could they learn out of it? Why would God allow something like that? And on the other case, we have a very comfortable life, like we can have all necessities that we want, and something happens to us, and so we can interpret it a little differently. But I'm speaking about these cases, like because these cases are happening. What would be the explanation if God is all good and all powerful? Even that book that I mentioned, this Kasher, he was a rabbin, Jewish rabbin, and he wrote a book because he could not understand why are bad things happening to good people if God is all powerful and all good. So he was trying to figure that out. Julian, you are muted yourself. Would you like to say something?
Oh, I'm always unmuted.
Okay. Your camera was a little off, maybe because of internet connection. Would somebody else like to try to figure it out?
Maybe sometimes the bad behavior of other people is hurting some people who didn't ask for anything, and it's just because of hazard. And how to explain it is very hard.
Okay. Okay, great. You a little bit froze because of internet connection, but
yes,
I
sorry
heard
for
the
that.
end. No problem. It's my issue. I think my connection was bad. Yeah, it's very hard to explain. And Kasher, that Jewish rabbi, he concluded that if God is all powerful, he could stop the evil. He could stop. But why he doesn't stop it? Maybe if he is, all good, he would like to stop it, So if he's not all powerful, if he's all good, then maybe he wants to stop it, but he cannot stop it. And if he's all powerful and not all good, maybe he doesn't want that. He likes to see people suffering. So that's the only possibility, that we take one out of the equation. So he concluded on himself that God is all good, but he's not all powerful, so that he can continue to believe in God. But this is his rationalization, it's not like something that really functions. And in Vedic scriptures, in that tradition, actually it's explained that reincarnation is the crucial part of life. Without it, things would not be able to function. And that's why some people are suffering. That's why some people are being born with a golden spoon in their mouth. They have everything what they want, because of some previous good credit or bad credit that they have earned. And also because Hitler has done a lot of evil, or somebody who has done a lot of bad, it's not that it's enough that he is just killed. He will not learn anything, but he will need the next life to go through that experience to see how it actually affects him. And so this is really interesting. So the karma and reincarnation is actually the only explanation with which we could put the God in equation with what's happening in this world. Everything else is just, like being very going around the truth, And when we are speaking now about karma reincarnation, do you think that our destiny is then already prepared for us if we already have our karma, or that we are tailors of our destiny? So we are coming about that purpose and those things that are affecting our decisions. So is our destiny predefined with our karma and everything, or we are still tailoring our destiny? How would you put that together? Speaking about karma and incarnation, I have so many evidences and I have so many realizations that is happening that, like it's not matter of belief. It's not matter of, like some dogmatic, like pursuits. There is so many evidences. But people are just don't want to, they don't want to think about it, because then what it means is that we are accountable on our actions. Like that, whatever we do, we are going to get reactions, because the law of karma, actually, the karma means action. It means directly action, and everything, like that. Every action that we do, it has a reaction. So it's like whatever we do, we plant a seed, and that seed can mature very quickly. There is this saying, instant karma, that we get something in return, but it can also happen in the next life or later on in this life, depending on the lecture that we need to learn. And karma is actually educational. It's very, very, very simple, but very profound and very complicated in the details. So in the principle, it's very simple. It's just a law of action and reaction, and a law with which we need to learn, like it's educational, how to behave properly and how to grow in different lifetimes. But in principle, in the details, it's very complicated, because when you see that some tragedies that are happening, that thousands of people are dying in the same moment from different backgrounds, how that can happen with the karma? It's very profound. But all of these people have really deserved it specifically in that moment, and it's happening with a reason. So the point about this is that it's not about that we become hard-hearted and that we don't have empathy towards others, and that we don't, like try to help others. But the point is, in our case, that we are not blaming somebody else for something that is happening in our life, that we are responsible for that. So, yeah. So the law of karma is very strict, relentless, and impartial. It's not partial. Either you are a president, either you are a street sweeper or whatever. It's very impartial. It's really relentless. So it's like, it comes and it's very strict. Also like a law of gravity, because it's natural law. In law of gravity, whoever you are and whatever you do, if you jump in from the 10-story building, you will fall down unless you have a parachute or something else. But the law of gravity will drag you down. So this is the law of karma. It's also like that. And it's also like whatever we do. Sometimes I'm very concerned, because I can see that people are making some problems and they are not aware that they will get reactions for that. And in today's world, we have a lot of responsibility, because we only with one touch, only one click, we can do tremendous harm or tremendous good to the world, to the others, and to many other, people. Just by going to the store, buying something, it's tremendous responsibility, and people are not aware of that. So by answering that question that we were speaking on the beginning, is it necessary that we think about our future life by planning this life? It's essential, because if we are not doing some things, proper things, like the end result will be totally different that we want to. Like why would we do, even if we are having a good intentions, but if we are doing a wrong thing, we can be having a totally different result. Like if you are driving a car and you don't know that this traffic light has its meaning, red, yellow, and green. So we can go through reds, and few times we can go through red, but one time we are just going to crash. So if we don't understand the laws of this nature and we don't understand how they function, we are going to, end up in misery if we do wrong things. So that's why, in law of karma is not because somebody wants to, that we suffer or something, but that things can function. Also like rules, like traffic lights are not there so that we suffer, so that we are waiting and that we are losing our time, but it's for our protection, because then we can continue to survive. And this is also with karma, so that we can continue to grow, because if everybody would follow properly the laws of karma, then we would live in harmonious world. We would live, in a world that would be very auspicious. But because today nobody's thinking about that, they're just thinking about selfish desires and not thinking how it's impacting others. That's why we are living in such a world. And even if we are killing animals, there is also certain karma getting for that. And because they also have emotions. If you kill a calf, mother cow is very sad. It has the same emotions as a human, lesser intelligence, but emotions are still there. Like the Jews, which Hitler killed, they had emotions like other people. Doesn't matter that he put them in different category. I will not go in vegetarianism, like I mentioned, but just mentioning the example. So with our blue eyes, we get also our, present and future. And but still, we can make decisions. We have a free will. Each one of us has a free will. We will get certain things in our life served on the plate, but which one we will take and how, it depends on us. So you can imagine this life is like a show, like that you have a stage and you have a show that somebody already wrote what will happen. Here there is already a script and what different actors will do. So you are in the midst of them, and if you don't know what's happening, because of your natural tendencies, you will be behaving like part of that show. You will be behaving the same way if somebody can predict your behavior. But if you understand that it's show, and if you understand what is going to happen, if you have that sight, you can totally change your life. Could you follow me? So depending on our knowledge, depending on what we were speaking in the past talks, how much we are in the mode of goodness and how much we came about that, we have more knowledge and we know how to behave and we have more freedom. And this is also depending on our karma. How much freedom do we have? So, yeah, it's the law of karma. It's very interesting. But I will give you an example, so that like a very interesting example. If you go to India, to certain parts in India, and if you are bitten by a mosquito, this malaria mosquito who carries that disease, you will get the malaria. So it's very, not so funny disease with high temperature and big consequences. But you know that you have it because of the symptoms. So the point of karma, and if you get that malaria, it's not about going back and understanding specifically which mosquito bit me. You don't need to know what specifically happened to you, even though you can go and you can find out what specifically happened, that you have a certain thing in this life through regression and through some other things. But it's not necessary, because I got malaria and I know what I need to do. I need to take some medicines and I need to take care in the future so that it doesn't happen again. So when we go in infested parts, we are going to sleep in a mosquito net so that we are not bitten by a mosquito who is transferring malaria. when I was also in India, I was having a mosquito net because in some parts, like in Mumbai or some other cities, there is a lot of cases of malaria, and it's really not pleasant, you know. So this is also a point of karma. We need to understand, okay, something is happening in my life, and I need to understand which medicine I need to take to change the situation, and what should I not do again so that it doesn't happen again in the future or in the next life. So we learn from it. We learn so that we can live better life in future. Okay, could you follow me with the example? Great. So through different lifetimes, we are experiencing different, we are getting different karma which shapes our lives. And everything that we do actually is shaping our future lives. There is a Christian saying, as we so we ripe, how to say, as we put the seed in the ground, so we ripe. There is I forgot what is the exact saying. It's a Christian saying. But yeah, but again, generally, as we sow, so we will ripe, something like that. Yeah. Which actions actually bring us this? The actions which are motivated by selfish desires. So we'll go a little bit in that. But the point of karma is not about depression or guilt. It's about taking responsibility for our actions and grow in wisdom. That's the point. That's the purpose of karma. So last time we were speaking about ignorance that Julian remembered. And in ignorance, when we are in ignorance, we usually make that bad karma. So by influence of the ignorance, we don't know our true nature. So we don't understand our true nature. And by not understanding our true nature, we try to seek pleasure in selfish desires. Selfish desires, because we think that we are this body and that everything that belongs to this body is mine. And that's the purpose of life. So, and then we do the immoral activities. And by immoral activities, we get karma. And there is manifested karma, which we are suffering right now from the previous activities. And there is also unmanifested that we are going to ripe in the future, that's going to ripe in the future. So also those activities that we have been doing, it's also creating habits so that we will do it again. So it's two things. One is that we are going to get reaction, and the other one is that it's creating a habit that we do it again. So if we want to break it, we need to do it double. And because actually the law of karma is like the perfect tailor. Like, you know, when you have a glove to your hand, you know, like before, you know, if the tailor makes your glove, it's very perfect fit. So the karma also like really perfectly defines our body according to our wishes and activities in past life. So, yeah, to our karma. But the good thing is that karma doesn't affect soul. We are speaking about the levels of our existence. It's affecting our physical and our psychological aspect. So it's affecting those areas. So the soul who is transcreating through different bodies, it's not affected, but it's affected when we are identifying ourselves with certain position, with certain, you know, like situation, that something belongs to us, that we are this and this. Then it affects us because we identify, and when we lose that and our expectations are broken, then we feel in certain way. But if we understand that we are not this body, that we are spirit soul, we will have a totally different perspective in the world. Like we were speaking on the beginning of our talks about being under the volcano when it erupts. So if we are under the volcano, we will be very frightened what will happen. But if we are flying in the plane, we will look at, wow, very wonderful, amazing. because we will not be affected by that. So it's just a point of perspective. Yeah. So what do you think about those things that I mentioned until now? I shared a lot of interesting information. I wanted to share a few more, and then I will open if there is some questions or something like that. Nina, if you have something immediately you can ask.
No, just a question, but I'll keep it for later.
Okay, don't forget it, please. So, yeah. Yeah, so all of us have a free will. And with that free will, we can do a lot of good things, and we can also do a lot of bad things. And that's why karma has two epaulettes, how do you say this, medical, two glasses, let's say, with a good and bad. So like two bank accounts on our bank. So everything good that we do, it goes on one bank account, and everything bad that we do, it goes on the other bank account. So when we live through our karma, we will get both things, good and bad. They will not nullify each other. Could you follow me? So by our free will, we can do a lot of good things, and we can write very good circumstances in the next life. We can be highly educated, good looking, very rich, handsome, whatever, and we can also suffer in many different areas, depending on our good and bad karma. So, yeah. But still, depending on the situation that we are in, like Nina said in the beginning, we can use that situation in different ways. Like there is a story about little girl. She had like very bad situation in her childhood. She was raped and she needed to steal, and it was like very bad situation. But she took that situation later on in her life, and then she started to help others to improve their life, and she became more happy and raised her quality of life tremendously. And there is a lot of stories like that we can learn and change. How do we see that situation? But still, in some cases, we are still objectively suffering, and this is because of the influence of such things. And the law of karma is not for punishment. It's to help us to learn and to grow. That's the law of karma for that. And the spiritual tradition, like the bhakti tradition that I mentioned, it's actually helping us to destroy our karma. Because when we raise on a spiritual platform, if we do some spiritual activities, this means that we are destroying our karma. So we can destroy it, even good and bad, so that we can come back to our original destination, which is actually the spiritual world. And this is actually what in Bhagavad Gita is being taught. I think one time I was speaking about from a different verse. And it's actually teaching how can we not just change our karma, but destroy it so that we are not conditioned by it, that we can come to our original constitutional position. And actually, one book that I would recommend you, if you are interested in that, last time I spoke about it, and I even thought that I will maybe be speaking something about Vedic wisdom, because I actually spent quite some time studying it, like for last 15 years. Yeah. And it was like I really went deeply, and this is actually the most interesting wisdom that I found, that is very logical, and it explains all of the things without dogmatical teachings. It has answered all of my questions, actually. And one of the books that summarizes that Vedic knowledge, which is very vast, very, very big, I just found it a couple of days ago, and it's called Veda, Secrets of the East. So it's a small compilation of different aspects. And it also, the second chapter, it's about karma and reincarnation. So it's really interesting. I even have it in PDF, so I can send it to you. I send you this link to register yourself if you still haven't. So please register. But if you're already getting emails from me, that means that I have your contact, so you don't need to worry. But please register. If not, I can share it. It's really interesting. I'd really recommend it. So, yeah, this is actually what I wanted to say. So that the point is that it's not that the bad things are happening to good people. They are happening with reason, and all of this is actually a call that this place is not for us. Like we were speaking before, this is not the place for our soul and for our original identity. This is a place just for learning and growing and coming back home. And yeah, this is what karma is trying to teach us. And like I mentioned before, without knowing how the karma and reincarnation functions, we can make, with good intentions, really bad things in our life, which will affect us in this life and in next life. And you can see the reactions of that immediately in today's world, where we destroy the climate and many different things. Destroyed, psychology of people with social networks and this and that, even though there were not like bad intentions on the beginning, but we didn't thought about it deeply. So what to say about future lives and how we affected different people with our choices? And it's not complicated that you will be thinking, oh, should I turn or not turn? Should I buy this or buy that? It's very easy when you understand the principles of it. So it's really great. And it's really, I feel much more peaceful and with having more clarity and understanding actually what's happening and what I need to learn and what I need to change in order for things not to happen again. And on the end, I would just mention that you should have, most probably you had experiences that when you went out from certain relationship or something, that you had some issues, and then in the next relationships, if you didn't learn from that one, very similar things continue to happen. So this can be explained also from psychological part of view, because we didn't change some of our own thoughts, but also karmically, because we need to learn and grow from certain experiences. Interested more about this, I will share you this book. You can see something about it, but this book I would highly recommend also if you want to go a little deeper into the different topics. I don't have it in a PDF. I just have it physically. I bought it very long time ago and I found it. It's from Chaitanya Charan, Demystifying Reincarnation. I'm sure you can get it on Amazon or some other things. And it's really interesting, really, really interesting. And it's really scientifically going through these different proofs and, fraud. Is it fraud by parents or investigators? Is it, knowledge maybe from some normal sources, guesswork or exaggeration, why it could be, why it could not be? And it's really when you read it, you say, okay, this is amazing. So, but I leave it to you. I don't want that you accept something blindly, and I'm really am for that you discover it, but don't just go around the truth and go your own way. Try to find it. And I'm very happy that you are here, because this means that you are really after it.